Nestled high in the serene mountains of Colorado, the Stanley Hotel stands as a majestic testament to nearly 2 centuries of history and grandeur. Established in the early 1800s, this sprawling estate was originally built as a luxurious retreat for affluent travelers seeking solace in the untamed beauty of the American wilderness. Over the years, the hotel has become renowned not only for its breathtaking scenic views, where snow-clad peaks meet dense, whispering forests and crystal-clear rivers, but also for the enigmatic mysteries that shroud its past. Despite its stunning architecture and unparalleled natural surroundings, the Stanley Hotel has seen a steady decline in guests over the years. Whispers of unexplained phenomena and eerie occurrences have deterred many from seeking refuge within its storied walls. During off-seasons, the hotel often stands silent, devoid of guests, as if the very air around it holds its breath in anticipation of unseen presences. The hotel's management staunchly maintains that the Stanley Hotel is a safe haven, free from any supernatural disturbances. The receptionists and owners tirelessly reassure visitors of their commitment to providing a peaceful and secure environment. However, lingering rumors persist, particularly surrounding the infamous Room 585. Known for its unparalleled scenic beauty, Room 585 has become a focal point of both fascination and fear. Many skeptics and non-believers are inexplicably drawn to this room, eager to challenge their doubts and experience its reputed charm firsthand. Yet, none have returned without bearing tales that further deepen the hotel's mysterious allure. Amidst these tales, Room 585 remains untouched by guests' experiences, its tranquility seemingly unbroken. This paradox has only heightened the room's mystique, making it a magnet for those intrigued by the unknown. As the Stanley Hotel continues to navigate the fine line between hospitality and haunting, the stories woven within its walls promise to reveal the truths hidden in the shadows of its illustrious past. David and Maria had always sought the extraordinary to celebrate their milestones. As they approached their 5th anniversary, the couple decided to embark on a journey that would etch their love story into the annals of adventure. Their destination, the secluded Stanley Hotel, renowned for its isolation and historical charm. The promise of tranquility amidst nature's splendor was irresistible, and the allure of Room 585, famed for its panoramic views, sealed their choice. After a long drive through winding mountain roads blanketed with snow, they arrived at the hotel. The structure loomed against the horizon, its grand facade illuminated softly by twilight. Surrounded by towering pines and the gentle murmur of nearby rivers, the setting was nothing short of picturesque. Despite knowing that the hotel welcomed only a handful of guests at a time, David and Maria felt a sense of exclusivity and excitement as they approached the entrance. The check-in process was seamless. The receptionist, a courteous gentleman with a reassuring smile, guided them to their room. Room 585, perched on the highest floor, offered an unobstructed view of the snow-covered landscape and the sprawling forest below. As they settled in, the couple marveled at the room's elegant decor and the breathtaking scenery that stretched beyond the large bay windows. Their first evening was spent reminiscing about their journey together, the crackling fireplace adding warmth to the already cozy ambiance. They dined on a sumptuous meal in the room, savoring both the food and each other's company. The night was peaceful, and the serenity of the surroundings allowed them to fully immerse themselves in their celebration. However, as the sun began to set the following day, an unsettling change swept over the hotel. The once clear skies darkened rapidly, and an oppressive silence enveloped the area. The temperature plummeted, sending a chill that seemed to seep into their very souls. David and Maria attempted to shake off the unease, attributing it to the remote location and the natural quirks of the old building. Suddenly, the room was filled with the acrid scent of cigarette smoke, though neither had smoked. The heavy atmosphere seemed to press down on them, making each breath laborious. They noticed the lights flickering intermittently, casting eerie shadows that danced across the walls. The sound of footsteps echoed through the room, though they were certain they were alone. Determined not to let fear dampen their special occasion, they tried to continue their evening. However, as darkness outside deepened, the true extent of the hotel's haunting presence began to reveal itself. The air grew thick, and an inexplicable force seemed to grip the room. When David reached for the doorknob, he found it immovable, as if locked by an unseen hand. Panic set in as they realized their predicament. The phone line, which had been working flawlessly earlier, now emitted only static when they tried to call the receptionist. The small light at the hotel's gate remained the sole beacon of illumination, casting long, sinister shadows into the abyss outside. Their attempts to escape were futile. Every effort to open the door was met with resistance. Desperate for answers, they ventured to the bathroom, hoping to find some semblance of normalcy. Instead, David was met with a horrifying sight. A vague, shadowy figure hovering just below the ceiling, its presence cold and menacing. He recoiled in terror, rushing back to Moya, who had witnessed the apparition in the mirror. Their reflections seemed distorted, mirroring the fear that now gripped them. As if responding to their terror, drops of blood began to fall from the ceiling, each one punctuating the silence with a grotesque rhythm. The room seemed to close in around them, the walls pulsating with unseen energy. Overwhelmed by fear and the relentless onslaught of supernatural forces, both David and Moria succumbed to unconsciousness, collapsing to the cold floor. The next morning, the hotel awoke to a world bathed in sunlight. The receptionist unlocked their room to find the couple lying motionless on the ground. Rushing to their side, he attempted to wake them, but both were unresponsive, their memories of the previous night shattered. When they finally stirred, their minds were blank, unable to recall the events that had transpired. All they could remember was the intense fear and the urge to leave. Without hesitation, they vacated the Stanley Hotel, the door slamming shut behind them as if sealing the horrors they had witnessed. Their story remained a mystery, locked away in the shadows of the Stanley Hotel. Days had passed since David and Moria's harrowing night at the Stanley Hotel, yet the eerie silence of room 585 seemed to hold its secrets tightly. The hotel remained shrouded in its usual isolation, with only the occasional whispers of past guests lingering in the cold mountain air. It wasn't long before another soul sought refuge within its historic walls, each bringing their own story of pain and desperation. Jack Thompson was a man worn down by the relentless pressures of life. 6 months of dwindling business, mounting debts, and a strained marriage had left him feeling utterly alone. Friends were few and far between, and the burden of his struggles weighed heavily on his spirit. Seeking solace and a fresh start, Jack made the bold decision to retreat to the Stanley Hotel, hoping that the seclusion and natural beauty would provide the respite he so desperately needed. Despite the countless tales of paranormal activity surrounding room 585, Jack felt an inexplicable pull toward it. His skepticism was strong, but the allure of the room's renowned scenic beauty was too tempting to resist. Additionally, the hotel offered him a substantial discount on the room, a small comfort in his time of financial despair. With nothing left to lose, Jack booked room 585, unaware of the darkness that awaited him. Upon arrival, Jack was greeted by the hotel's grand entrance, its majestic architecture standing proudly against the backdrop of snow-clad mountains and dense pine forests. The receptionist, a polite woman with a reassuring demeanor, handed him the key to room 585 with a knowing smile. "Enjoy your stay," she said, her eyes briefly meeting his with a hint of something unspoken. Jack ascended to the 10th floor, the quiet corridors echoing his footsteps. He entered room 585, immediately captivated by the breathtaking view from the balcony. The mountains stretched endlessly, their peaks piercing the sky, while the surrounding forest whispered secrets in the wind. The room itself was elegantly furnished, exuding a sense of timeless luxury that contrasted sharply with the modern world he was desperate to escape. The first evening passed peacefully. Jack spent hours on the balcony, reflecting on his life and pondering new ideas to revive his struggling business. The tranquility of the setting sun and the serene beauty of the landscape offered a brief respite from his turmoil. However, as night began to fall, an unsettling shift occurred. A faint, muffled sound echoed through the room, like distant footsteps on a cold, empty floor. Jack dismissed it as the creaks of the old building settling, or perhaps the wind rustling the trees outside. But as the evening progressed, the noises grew more distinct and unnerving. The air became thick with an inexplicable heaviness, and a metallic scent of fresh blood permeated the room, making Jack's skin crawl. Determined to maintain his composure, Jack tried to focus on his thoughts, but the oppressive atmosphere was impossible to ignore. The lights flickered intermittently, casting long, wavering shadows that seemed to dance across the walls. A chill settled over him, and the temperature plummeted, causing him to shiver uncontrollably. As the sun dipped below the horizon, plunging the world into darkness, Jack's unease intensified. The once comforting sounds of nature outside turned sinister, replaced by whispers that seemed to call his name. Jack. Jack. The voice was faint at first, but it grew louder and more insistent, sending shivers down his spine. Frozen in fear, Jack struggled to comprehend what was happening. He believed it was his imagination, a manifestation of his stress and exhaustion. But the whispers persisted, growing louder and more urgent. Desperate for answers, Jack followed the sound to the bathroom, hoping to find some rational explanation. Opening the bathroom door, Jack was met with a horrifying sight. The mirror reflected not his own image, but a multitude of shadowy figures dancing behind him. Their movements were jerky and unnatural, their eyes hollow and void of life. Panic surged through him as he reached for the door handle, only to find it immovable, as if sealed by an unseen force. The phone on the dresser buzzed with static, preventing him from calling the receptionist or anyone else for help. Jack's heart pounded in his chest as he realized the severity of his predicament. The room seemed to close in around him, the walls pulsating with an unseen energy. The smell of fresh blood grew stronger, mingling with the scent of cigarette smoke that wafted through the air, despite no one having lit a cigarette. Terrified and disoriented, Jack stumbled back into the main area of the room. Shadows moved independently of their sources, swirling around him in a chaotic dance. Objects began to levitate and crash to the floor, the noise deafening in the confined space. The oppressive weight of the room pressed down on him, making it difficult to breathe. In a last desperate attempt to escape, Jack fled to the balcony. The cold night air whipped around him as he pounded on the glass, screaming for help. "Help! Please, someone help me!" His cries were swallowed by the vast darkness that surrounded the hotel, the only light emanating from the single lamp at the gate, flickering weakly against the night. As he stood there, feeling utterly alone, a massive shadow loomed behind him. The figure was tall and imposing, its form shifting and indistinct. The smell of fresh blood intensified, filling his nostrils and making his head spin. Jack's fear reached its peak as the shadow advanced, its presence overwhelming and suffocating. In a moment of sheer terror, Jack made a split-second decision. With no other option, he leapt off the balcony, plunging into the abyss below. The impact was sudden and brutal, and darkness enveloped him completely. The next morning, the Stanley Hotel awakened to a new day, the snow glistening under the bright sunlight. The receptionist received the call to unlock room 585, only to discover Jack's lifeless body sprawled on the cold floor. Initial investigations suggested a tragic suicide, a man pushed to the brink by his financial and personal struggles. However, whispers among the staff hinted at something far more sinister. The mystery of Room 585 deepened, its dark history seemingly consuming another soul. The Stanley Hotel stood as a silent witness to countless untold stories, each one adding to the enigmatic legacy of its most infamous Room 585. The hotel's reputation was now marred by tales of unexplained phenomena and tragic endings, drawing the attention of those intrigued by the paranormal. Among them was Roma Patel, an intelligent and dedicated investigator known for her expertise in uncovering hidden truths. Determined to shed light on the dark history of the Stanley Hotel, Roma assembled a team comprising Rachel Nguyen and Ricky Martinez, both equally passionate about exploring the unknown. Roma's background in forensic psychology and her relentless pursuit of truth made her the ideal leader for this investigation. Rachel, with her technical prowess in electronic surveillance and data analysis, complemented Roma's skills perfectly. Ricky, a former geologist with a deep understanding of environmental factors, added another layer of expertise to the team. Their combined knowledge and experience positioned them well to tackle the enigmatic events of Room 585. Their research revealed that Room 585 had been the site of at least 100 unexplained incidents over the years, many of which were either poorly documented or dismissed as suicides. This revelation only fueled their resolve to uncover the room's secrets. Equipped with an array of sophisticated instruments designed to capture every possible anomaly, the team prepared for their investigation. Their gear included electromagnetic field meters, infrared temperature sensors, digital voice recorders, high-definition cameras, and specialized devices capable of detecting wavelengths of light and sound beyond human perception. Upon arriving at the Stanley Hotel, the team was struck by its imposing presence against the backdrop of snow-covered mountains and dense forests. The isolation of the location, combined with the hotel's historic architecture, created an atmosphere ripe for exploration. After checking in, they were escorted to Room 585, where they began setting up their equipment with meticulous precision. The room was as beautiful as the legends suggested, featuring large bay windows that framed panoramic views of the surrounding wilderness. The elegant furnishings and timeless decor added to the room's allure, making it an ideal setting for their study. As evening approached, the team settled in, eager to begin their observations. The initial hours passed uneventfully, filled with the soft hum of their instruments and the occasional crackle from the fireplace. As night fell, subtle changes began to emerge. The electromagnetic field meters registered fluctuating energy levels, and the temperature sensors indicated abrupt drops and rises, creating an uncomfortable chill that permeated the room. Rachel noted the sudden shifts with concern, while Ricky attributed them to possible technical glitches. Roma, maintaining her composure, suggested they continue their monitoring, emphasizing the importance of staying objective. The room's atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive as the night deepened. Unusual wavelengths of sound began emanating from different directions, creating a chaotic soundscape that tested their nerves. Faint whispers and disembodied footsteps echoed through the space, their sources seemingly impossible to locate. Determined to document every anomaly, the team intensified their efforts, focusing their equipment on capturing the elusive phenomena. The temperature plummeted sharply, and the room seemed to darken as the lights flickered ominously. The soundscape grew more intense, with overlapping whispers forming incoherent phrases that heightened the tension. The team decided to investigate the source of the disturbances, moving towards the washroom where the anomalies were most pronounced. Inside the bathroom, the temperature was noticeably colder, and an eerie silence hung in the air. Roma activated her infrared camera, scanning the area for any signs of supernatural activity, but initially found nothing unusual. However, as they delved deeper, Ricky pointed out a peculiar anomaly in the bathroom mirror, a massive hole behind the glass that distorted their reflections. Intrigued and alarmed, Roma approached the mirror cautiously, her hand trembling as she reached out to touch the edge of the distortion. With a collective breath, they decided to investigate further. Using specialized tools, Roma carefully pried open the mirror, revealing a hidden cavity behind it. Inside lay a collection of skeletal remains, meticulously arranged in a manner that suggested a gruesome history. Among the bones, they discovered a weathered journal, its pages filled with frantic handwriting detailing a tragic tale of betrayal and murder. The journal recounted the story of two childhood friends, Luis and Peter, who had once shared a close bond. While Peter had achieved remarkable success in business, Luis struggled with constant failures, fostering a deep-seated jealousy. Their friendship deteriorated under the weight of Luis's envy, leading to a fateful confrontation in room 585. In a fit of rage, Louis murdered Peter, dismembering his body and hiding the remains behind the mirror and within the ceiling's hidden spaces. The journal detailed how Louis had attempted to make Peter's disappearance appear as a suicide, even eliminating a journalist who had stumbled upon the grisly scene. As Roma and her team absorbed the horrifying account, the room reacted violently. The temperature dropped further and the air became thick with the scent of fresh blood. Shadows danced menacingly on the walls, and the skeletal remains seemed to twitch and shift as if trying to break free from their eternal prison. Determined to protect themselves, Roma initiated a protective ritual, utilizing their knowledge of occult practices to shield the team from the lingering malevolent energy. The team noticed an increase in paranormal activity as they delved deeper into the history of the room. The EMF meters spiked unpredictably, and their high-definition cameras captured fleeting apparitions and shadowy figures that vanished upon closer inspection. The digital voice recorders picked up disembodied whispers that seemed to echo the sentiments of betrayal and despair documented in the journal. Ricky's geological instruments detected unusual vibrations emanating from the building's foundation, suggesting that the malevolent forces had a deeper connection to the hotel's structure. With dawn approaching, the oppressive atmosphere began to lift, and the team felt a momentary sense of relief. They had uncovered the truth, but the experience had left them deeply unsettled. Packing up their equipment, they approached the hotel authorities with their findings, urging them to seal room 585 and preserve its dark history. The hotel owner, recognizing the potential impact on his business, reluctantly agreed to seal the room and destroy the washroom, but insisted that the true story remain concealed to protect the hotel's reputation. Roma and her team, bound by their professional integrity, consented to the arrangement, hoping that the room would remain undisturbed. As they left the Stanley Hotel, the team felt a lingering sense of unease, their minds haunted by the horrors they had witnessed.